What is up, enthusiasts? It is Cedar Flags here, and welcome back to another one of my videos. Happy National Roller Coaster Day, everyone. I decided to post this video on this very day because I thought that dealing with roller coaster history would be a very good option. So today, I'm going to talk about a very unique topic that I discovered while researching roller coasters. So, if you've researched a lot as a roller coaster enthusiast, you may know that there are a lot of different wooden coaster manufacturers out there. Rocky Mountain Construction, GCI, CCI, PTC, and even dating back to the LaMarcus A. Thompson days. All of these roller coasters, when it comes to both age and design, it is definitely a very unique and diverse collection. A LaMarcus A. Thompson Switchback Railway is much different from a CCI Woody, as a CCI Woody is much different from an RMC Woody. All of these roller coasters have their unique quirks and their similarities, but something that is pretty shocking is that they are all related in some sort of way, whether it be a common worker or them working together. All of these roller coasters are related. Yeah, that is right. Most wooden roller coaster manufacturers are somehow, some way related to each other. Not in a literal sense, but they might have had a designer come from company to company, or a company might have dissolved into different companies, and it goes all the way from the beginning of American roller coasters to the modern day Woodies we know and love today. So, here it is, the wooden coaster family tree. This is the diagram I made, and it shows how all the wooden coaster manufacturers, or at least most of them, are somehow, some way connected to each other, whether it be of a common member, etc. Dating back from the LaMarcus A. Thompson Switchback Railways, being ancestors to the massive RMC Woodies we know and love today like Wildfire and Goliath. So without further ado, let's get to explaining things. This is Cedar Flags, and this is the Wooden Coaster Family Tree. Before I start the video, I just want to let you all know that there is still merch at my store for limited prices. Let me know if you're interested in anything. They are in the link in the description below. And if you haven't already, click that subscribe button and let me know how my videos are. Anyway, let's get right to the family tree. Starting all the way at the tippy top with LaMarcus A. Thompson, literally going to the start of the modern roller coaster in the United States. LaMarcus A. Thompson saw that there were a lot of adult-friendly entertainment venues in the Coney Island area, and he wanted to add a family-friendly entertainment venue. So he went to Coney Island and showed everyone his new invention, the Switchback Railway. This was a pretty simple roller coaster, and why? Well, it was basically one of the first modern coasters ever. It didn't go any more than 10 miles an hour, and was no more than 30 feet off the ground. There started to be installations of these all across the United States, including one at Cedar Point. These were very popular roller coasters at the time, and these were really the grandfathers of what coasters we ride today. One of his last roller coasters before his death was Tornado at Coney Island, the very own park that he'd invented the Switchback Railway at. This roller coaster was definitely more modern. Coming in at the early 1900s, this roller coaster provided a lot of turns, hence the name Tornado. He designed this with newcomer Frederick Church, otherwise known just as Fred. This roller coaster was very revolutionary at its time, and Fred Church would be coming to design more roller coasters throughout the United States. One being Dragon Coaster at Playland. This is a very old roller coaster, and a favorite among historic coaster enthusiasts. Another one of LaMarcus's last creations was Alps at Six Gun Territory in Pennsylvania. This was one of the last remaining switchback railways when it closed in the late half of the 20th century, but still remains in people's memories. This was a pretty iconic roller coaster at the time, and if it were still existing would definitely be a historic landmark. But what's so important about this ride among the other switchback railways? Well, he designed this along with John A. Miller, another newcomer in the coaster industry, who would be a major player with some roller coasters in the near future. These roller coasters included many like Jackrabbit at Kennywood, and Wild One at Six Flags America. That leads us all the way down to Philadelphia Toboggan Company. See what I mean when it comes to these roller coasters being quote-unquote related? Yeah, the Philadelphia Toboggan Company from LaMarcus A. Thompson. The Philadelphia Toboggan Company, otherwise known as PTC, was an absolute major player in roller coasters. and John A. Miller designed a few of the roller coasters designed by PTC. They were working with each other for a while after LaMarcus Thompson died, and I have to say that PTC is probably one of the most significant manufacturers on this list. Throughout the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, the Philadelphia Toboggan Company made some revolutionary roller coasters. These including the aforementioned Wild One, Blue Streak at Cedar Point, Phoenix at Knoebels, Comet at Hershey Park, and many, many, many more. PTC is the founder of the major wooden roller coaster, and we still have some very popular PTC wooden coasters out today. One of them including the Racer at Kings Island. In the early 70s, Kings Island was looking for a brand new roller coaster as they were building the park from scratch. And the roller coaster industry was a little bit in a puddle at the time, and this roller coaster is credited for being one of the few coasters to save the coaster industry. Philadelphia Toboggan Company and Kings Island would also pair up to build Woodstock Express, a much smaller roller coaster dedicated to the kids. But Kings Island's next major wooden coaster would be designed in-house, which means that the park would design it itself. Made up of many famous designers such as Charles Dinn, the Beast became one of the most iconic coasters on the planet. And what did Charles Dinn do afterwards? Well, he parted ways with Kings Island and Paramount Parks and decided to form his own company, the Dinn Corporation. The Dinn Corporation pretty much today is a very infamous company. With the recently passed Charles Dinn, he did have the best of intentions. Some of these notable roller coasters are Thunder Run at Kentucky Kingdom, Predator at Darien Lake, and the one and only Mean Streak at Cedar Point, which is now known as Steel Vengeance. At the time, the Dinn Corporation was a very loved and well-known manufacturer, and one of the most influential wooden coaster manufacturers of all time. But it doesn't stop here. After Charles Dinn was in retirement, his daughter still loved roller coasters. His daughter took inspiration off of him to form her own company. Remember when I said that it wasn't literally related? Well, technically, the Dinn Corporation and CCI are literally related. Yes, his daughter started the one and only CCI, otherwise known as Custom Coasters International, in the early 90s. CCI remained a major player in wooden roller coasters up until 2002. But let's talk about this first. CCI has made some of the best and greatest and most impressive wooden coasters of all time. These include Megazeph at Six Flags New Orleans, Villain at Geauga Lake, Raven and Legend at Holiday World, Cornball Express, Hoosier Hurricane, and Lost Coaster at Superstition Mountain, all at Indiana Beach, Boulder Dash at Lake Compounds, which has won the best wooden coaster in the world a few years, and the one and the only Shivering Timbers at Michigan's Adventure. All of these roller coasters are extremely respected in their own right, defunct or not defunct. CCI was on an absolute roll with roller coasters. They were working with Cedar Fair, Six Flags, Palace Entertainment. They were working with almost everyone at the time. But unfortunately, in 2002, the company disbanded into 3 different manufacturers. The first one a lot of members of CCI joined after the company disbanded was GCI, otherwise known as Great Coasters International. This is one of the most famous wooden coaster manufacturers nowadays. Yes, we are getting to current day, and I have to say CCI and GCI is a pretty interesting story in its own right, but GCI is one of the more modern wooden coaster manufacturers on this list. Known for some very impressive wooden coasters, GCI is still running today, with some very innovative, impressive, and structurally incredible wooden coasters. These roller coasters have very nice transitions, very smooth for the old wooden coaster design, and very low to the ground maneuvers. These are very signature elements, and you can easily pop them out if you're looking at them. Some of the more notable GCIs are Mystic Timbers at Kings Island, Texas Stingray at SeaWorld, and Thunderhead at Dollywood. Another existing company this company of CCI disbanded in was S&S. S&S is mainly a steel coaster manufacturer, but they have experimented and dabbled in wooden coasters as well, like Timberhawk Ride of Prey, Hellcat, and most notably, Avalanche. Avalanche honestly looks like one of the best defunct coasters of all time, but maybe that's for another video. S&S did dabble a little bit into wooden coasters, even though they are more known for the massive steel giants they have made in the past and recently. One of the major designers at SNS was Alan Schilke. He's credited for making the wooden coasters of SNS, and is also credited for Rocky Mountain Construction, which he joined after the peak of SNS. He contacted Fred Grubb and they met up in the late 2000s, and they went on to design the iBox conversion, which is a steel roller coaster, but they also designed the RMC Topper Track wooden coaster, which does qualify as a Woody. These major coasters have inverted more times than any other wooden coaster on Earth, inverting not once, not twice, but 3 times on one example, Outlaw Run at Silver Dollar City. Some of these other RMC Woodies include Wildfire at Colmartin, Lightning Rod at Dollywood, my personal favorite wooden coaster that I have ridden, Goliath at Six Flags Great America. That is the end of this strain. But going up a little bit back to CCI, there is another company that CCI disbanded into, which was made brand new by some of the members of CCI which were left companyless. This is Gravity Group. Gravity Group is a more traditional wooden coaster manufacturer compared to RMC, but still makes roller coasters to this day. Some of Gravity Group's notable coasters: Mind Blower at Fun Spot Kissimmee, The Voyage at Holiday World, Ravine Flyer 2 at Waldemere, Kentucky Flyer at Kentucky Kingdom, and Hades, now known as Hades 360 at Mount Olympus. Now, we're going back up a few decades ago. We are going from the Gravity Group all the way back to Philadelphia Toboggan Company, because Philadelphia Toboggan Company caused a major fork in this family tree, and we just covered one side, but what about the other? Philadelphia Toboggan Company was also responsible for Screamin' Eagle at Six Flags St. Louis, and the infamous Great American Scream Machine at Six Flags Over Georgia. These were built by PTC and designed by William Cobb. Now this is where it gets a little complicated. Now, William Cobb was credited for designing a lot of wooden coasters at the time, one of them being Sierra Tenante at the one and only Mirabilandia in Italy. Now, why is this coaster very important on this video? This is the one roller coaster that connects all the other manufacturers to the newer manufacturers on this branch. He designed this coaster along with SDC, along with Werner Stangle. Werner Stangle is one of the most influential coaster designers of all time, and I believe is credited for designing the most roller coasters out of any single person. But correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. Once again, this coaster connects PTC with Werner Stangle. And what is Werner Stangle noted for? The one and only Intamin Amusement Rides. Intamin Amusement Rides mainly dabbles in steel roller coasters, but they have made some of the most iconic and critically acclaimed wooden coasters of today's generation. They made most notably El Toro at Six Flags Great Adventure. They also made coasters like T-Express at Everland. This ride is very similar to El Toro in the way that it provides airtime. Another company that Werner Stangle built wooden coasters at was the one and only Gerstlauer, and by wooden coasters I mean wooden coaster. Mammoth, I believe I'm pronouncing that right, at Tripsdrill, I believe I'm pronouncing that decently, is the only Gerstlauer wooden coaster to be credited with Gerstlauer and Werner Stangle. This is a pretty impressive roller coaster, and where we're ending the wooden coaster family tree. Now there are a few wooden coaster manufacturers that we missed: the National Amusement Device Company and the RCCA, but these are very, very loosely connected by other forms, but it's a little complicated to get in this video. Also, El Toro is an Intamin, and guess who built El Toro? Well, Intamin designed it, Rocky Mountain Construction. So you see the polka dotted lines at the bottom, that is what that relation is. But the moral, all of these roller coaster manufacturers are somehow related in some way when it comes to either a common person or a common manufacturer. It's very interesting how this happened, and I absolutely love the concept that all of the major wooden coaster manufacturers are somehow, some way related. What did you think of this video? Let me know down in the comments below. Also, what is your favorite wooden coaster manufacturer? Personally, I think CCI is my favorite. Let me know down in the comments below, like, subscribe, check out my merch, and I'll see you in the next video. This is Cedar Flags, and I'll see you all later.